Hello everyone, my name is Anmol Kaushal. Welcome to part 3 of this video. If you haven't watched the first two parts, please check them out before you watch this video. So they are either linked above or down below. Do check them out. So my name is Anmol Kaushal. We are in conversation with Miss Karki Vishnoi.
So regarding depression, I just wanted to talk more about it because recently after what happened with Sushant Singh Rajput, so actor which was doing so good in his career, people looked up to him, but then like after that the term depression has surfaced over the social media. So people don't exactly understand what depression is because they think that it's kind of being sad over a long period of time. So I just want to understand what a professional perceives, how a professional perceives depression. So what's your opinion on that?
The depression, like I said earlier, that it is basically just an imbalance in your neurotransmitters. All of us deal with struggles in our everyday lives, and all of us have big traumas that we have to live through. But everybody navigates through it differently. These can be a precipitating cause of depression, but it also has to be coupled with chemical imbalances in your brain, right? Simply something negative happening to you on the outside does not necessarily mean that you have depression. Most of us cope up with it, right? But somebody who's unable to cope up with it, somebody who starts to show physiological symptoms, their brain starts to react neurally in that manner, wherein they need clinical help, wherein they need psychiatric help. That is what depression is really.
Yeah, so like you explained, people sometimes can't differentiate their daily sorrows and they say that oh, I'm going through depression. So how can a person differentiate if they are going through the daily ups and downs of life or they are going through clinical depression?
So clinical depression has symptoms, and I always recommend never do a self-diagnosis. It's the worst thing. Never Google your symptoms. Never ever do that. It will always show that you have the worst form of the disease. So I would discourage people on looking up for the symptoms, but still I stand that there's a quick check which you can do with yourself, wherein you ask yourself, do I enjoy the activities that I used to do before? What do I feel? Can things change about the future? Is somebody feeling hopeless about the future? Are there also some thoughts of self-harm involved? A lot of people would think on a very regular basis that, okay, it's better if I never live, right? But having recurrent thoughts like these is something that is problematic, is something that you should seek external help for. And I would always suggest that you should just at least take one session to clear out your doubts. You should at least, even if you are skeptical of going to a psychiatrist because you are skeptical of taking the pills, medication, so what you can do is that you can visit a psychologist. So they can distinguish whether you need clinical, medical, pharmacological help or simply counseling would help, or if just they could give you a couple of hacks that could pull you out of the current sadness that you feel.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, the word psychologist. So I just wanted to know what is the difference between psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, therapist, and what you are, a counseling psychologist. So it's like it looks like the same pool, but I know that it's very much different from each other.
It is extremely different. Number one, psychiatrists are people who prescribe medicines. They have done their MBBS degrees. They are the ones who give electronic conversion therapy and biofeedback and things like that. So they are supposed to do that part, medical part, pharmacological part. Now comes the clinical psychologist. They have done their MPhil also. Like they haven't just done their master's, they've done 2 years of extensive training with clinical patients and non-clinical population also. So these are the people who conduct assessments. They conduct assessments and tests over your personality, your attitude, your aptitude, and intelligence, IQ, all of this they do. And apart from that, they conduct therapies. So cognitive behavioral therapy, REBT, and behavior modification, DBT, all these therapies, they are the ones who conduct and take you through these therapies. Therapists and clinical psychologists can be used, kind of replaced by each other, but essentially because clinical psychologist is an umbrella term, so therapist is generally a word used in more in Western countries than us.
Okay.
And counseling psychologist, which I basically deal with non-clinical population, people who do not have mental illness, but generally are bothered about something that's going on in their life, majorly adjustment issues. And adjustment could range from anything from not being able to adjust after your marriage, or exam pressure, or maybe at work you're unable to adjust, or with family, or maybe after somebody has passed, so bereavement is also included here, and basically adolescent counseling and non-clinical child counseling, all of that. So that's a broad spectrum with non-clinical population.
Okay, so people who are experiencing some kind of symptoms, they are not there yet, so that's where you come in and help them. Okay.
Not there yet is the right way to put it.
Okay. So like you explained, like there are different categories of doctors that deal with mental illnesses. So how, like talking about you, how can a person reach out to you? How do a person who has a mental illness can reach out to you? Like in real life, what you experience?
For me personally, since I work at a hospital, so anybody can walk through the doors of the hospital. They can say that I need an appointment with Garg, and they would get an appointment with me.
Okay.
They can book a session with me online through the hospital's website. They could anytime they could contact me through my Instagram that I shared with you, and anybody could write a mail, and that's how we take up. So there are so many ways that somebody can reach out, and essentially why I wanted to create mental health awareness was that people were really unaware of the options of seeking help. They didn't know where to go. There are so many online counseling sessions and everything which are not even authorized to do that, and they are just quacks who are trying to take up money. I just had a word with somebody a couple of days ago, and she told me that there was some sort of personality quiz that she filled up online, and it showed her pathological and that she was riddled with illness, and then suddenly she got a call from someone explaining that product to her that just goes up 25,000 rupees and will transform your life. So a lot of misguided information is there available on the internet. So that's why I wanted to get into creating awareness so people could reach out to actual professionals.
Exactly. So coming down to, like you explained, depression, anxiety is also some kind of a similar thing. The same thing goes with it, because people sometimes misrepresent it like they are going through anxiety. So जैसे आपने explain किया depression के बारे में कि how does depression can be differentiated with daily life sorrows. So how can like an anxiety disorder can be differentiated from जो हम जनरली एंजाइटी फील करते, लाइक फ्रॉम बिफोर अ बिग इवेंट और एग्जाम से पहले. सो हाउ कैन वी डिफरेंशिएट इन दैट?
So when anxiety get crippling for you, anxiety आपको कुछ करने नहीं देती. जब आपको बाहर जाना है, you want to meet people, but it's stopping you. Right? There's certain nervousness जो हमें नए लोगों से मिलके होती है, that's different. That anxiousness is different. But when it prevents you from doing daily normal routine things, that is when it becomes pathological. That is when so that the basic premise of any sort of mental illness is that it prevents you to conduct your daily life operations with ease. So when anxiety is very crippling, it grips your everyday functioning, that's when it's pathological, and that's when you should go to a professional.
Exactly. So just one more question regarding these disorders only. Like people sometimes think that taking medication would like affect them in a wrong way, that they'll get an habit for taking pills. So what's your opinion on that? That medication, like what I think is that if you are going through a disorder and sometimes you get advised a medicine from a doctor, you should go through it. You shouldn't think that कि मेरे को आदत लग जाएगी एंड बाद में अगर मुझे इतने डोज की आदत लग गई, दे माइट इंक्रीज द डोज, दे आर साइड इफेक्ट्स ऑल्सो. सो व्हाट इज योर ओपिनियन ऑन मेडिकेशन फॉर इलनेसेस?
पिल हो गया, exists in our country and it's rampant. And not even talk about mental illnesses. People stop their antibiotic medication midway because they are suddenly feeling okay without completing the course. Because they apparently feel that these medications are going to harm their bodies. So you have to understand that if you like you said, if you're going through something which is an illness, which is a disorder, might as well just take the medicines and get better. We don't have that mentality. Number one is denial because we feel that we don't need medication. This is some sort of considered some sort of weakness in our society that if you take medication, you are a weak person, and even if you develop viral symptoms, and there are people who are really proud of themselves telling you that I too got out of the viral without taking medication. I did not even have to take paracetamol. So there is a sense of stigma attached again to taking medication, especially for mental illnesses.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, what happens is that due to this, people are judged. Again, it's a societal thing that if somebody is taking pills for their brain, तो क्या दिमाग खराब है?
दिमाग खराब, exactly.
So that sort of labeling is something that prevents a lot of people, and also this feeling that we get addicted to it is something which is not right, because if you go to the right psychiatrist, if you go to the right doctor who has good reviews, just don't trust anyone. Go with the word of mouth, somebody who has had a good experience.
Yeah.
So if you go to a good doctor, a good psychiatrist, they would slowly wean away your medication. Nobody likes that to put bad name to their reputation.
Yeah.
So nobody would book you on medication just for the personal gains. They would want their patient to do well. So just trust your doctor, take the medication, never skip it, because a lot of times in schizophrenia people skip medication and their symptoms return.
Yeah.
So if you take medication during mental illnesses, you won't even realize that you ever had that problem. It's that effective.
Okay, and like you explained, for the self-diagnosis thing, a person, because I've also read online, people go to just directly go to Google, I have schizophrenia, what medication should I take? They see the suggestions and they go through it, exactly. So online self-diagnosis of medication, I think that's also a more risky thing that's out there.